There we go. All right, hello. I'm super excited to be here. Hope you guys all had a fantastic lunch. Thanks for having me. So, quick introduction. My name is Cindy, and I am a senior product designer at Intercom. I'm originally from the San Francisco Bay Area, but about a year and a half ago, I moved to Dublin, Ireland, to join Intercom's design team. So, quick show of hands, who here has heard of Intercom before? Whoa, okay, so many people, fantastic. Who here has used Intercom? Great, even better, awesome. So in case you're not already familiar, Intercom is on a mission to make internet business personal so that communication between you and your customers can be really simple, personal, and fun. On our customer side, we do this through products like our Messenger. And for the business side, our product Respond makes it really easy for you to manage all of those conversations and customers at scale. And it also happens to be the product that I work on. So today, I want to take you a little bit behind the scenes of how we approach product at Intercom by talking about how we built a feature in Respond recently called conversation ratings. And I'll kind of share the problem and the solution that we got to start. So the problem that we were trying to solve is that support teams needed a simple and consistent way to understand how well they're helping their customer so they can improve their team and measure their value to the business. And the solution that we got to was an automatic invitation at the end of a conversation asking the end user to rate how it went. So this happened through a little card with an emoji and a little optional comment that you can give, as you can see here. And this was kind of shown in all the channels that we support, and also the ratings were shown to the teammates aggregated over time. Since we released this a few months ago, we've gotten really positive adoption and continuous growth, which has been fantastic to see. And our engagement rates have been really high, meeting and exceeding the targets that we set out. I think one of the best parts, though, is to actually help support teammates understand the difference that they're making as well. So this is a piece of feedback that our own support representative, Megan, was able to get from someone she's been helping out consistently for years through this feature. So that's really, really amazing to see. So how did we get here? This project started out with a lot of feature requests from customers. I think it was one of the most highly requested things. And I think as product people, I think we're kind of at this stage all trained to really shoulder all these requests and kind of continue to look for the real underlying problem underneath it, which all sounds good in theory. But what happens when you can really get the whole product team involved in this and you really kind of embark on this journey together? So at Intercom, we have 5 ways of working that really allow us to do this. And these are the 5. Design from first principles, think big, start small, ship to learn, build the team on open and over communication, and design for emotions to win hearts and minds. For each of these, I'll walk through a little bit what they mean, and I'll tell you about how they worked for our conversation ratings project. So 1, design from first principles. It can feel really easy to just jump straight to a solution when a problem stems from feature requests, because often customers already have a solution in mind when they're asking you for something. While it's definitely good to acknowledge what's out there, it's a lot less good to just go and mindlessly copy the yesterday solutions of other companies, primarily because I think they have a lot to iterate on as well, and they probably just haven't gotten there yet. So instead, you're better off actually taking a step back and designing from first principles. And what this means is really trying to understand the problem space as much as you can. So for this project, we did interviews, we kind of came up with job stories from there. We basically learned about how ratings and scales worked. We wrote a really clear problem statement. And this really allowed us to kind of open our heads a little bit, create the headspace to explore many different directions, collecting feedback not just from your external customers, but also getting feedback from within your support team as well could be another solution. And for all of these, we explored them solutions at a systems design kind of phase, which really means just trying to think about the high-level solution. What are the core elements of it, and how are these elements related, and what outcome do they achieve together? So all of this really helped us kind of slow down and be deliberate about solving the problem and made sure that we were true to it from the get-go. 2, think big, start small. So for this project, we thought big. We thought really big, and we thought a lot. I think at one point I had like a 26-page document outlined everything, and many sketch files that kind of exploded like this. It's a really good idea to go broad when you're thinking about one direction at first. So you know that the full landscape going ahead, and any surprises that might come up, so you're aware. But at the same time, it's good to kind of break things down into small, concrete first steps so you have a plan of how to get there. So this is an example of what happens when you don't do that quite as well. For this project in early user research, we found that teammates were really attached to this idea of giving a reason for a bad rating. So letting the end user pick one, like it went wrong or it was bad because it was too slow or it was impersonal. And why teammates liked this so much was that these reasons could be aggregated into top areas of improvement for the team, at the teammate level and even across the whole team. So managers found this really valuable. And I was super attached to this idea because everyone loved it. So I was like, we have to build this. It's the best thing ever. But of course, I hadn't fully considered that maybe this could be an iceberg in disguise. Reasons, they seem simple, but they might have to be, customized per company to make them actually really useful. That make translations kind of tricky and reporting hard if the reasons keep changing all the time. So we decided to de-scope this from our first solution because it wasn't quite as essential, and we put it in our back pocket as an idea that we can consider later based on customer feedback. So it served as a good reminder to me to really kind of think big but start small and know what that small is, so you can straddle this balance between being pragmatic and visionary at the same time. So 3, ship to learn. Raise your hand if you've ever been in a room with other people struggling to reach consensus on a decision. Should be all the hands in the room. You're lying. Just kidding. So what's likely happening here is that the conversation is being built on what ifs, right? You can keep arguing about stuff until the cows come home, but sometimes you really just need to kind of test stuff out and make a shared decision using actual real data. So a couple examples of this. Initially, we were having a hard time determining when the end of a conversation was to know when it was appropriate to ask the end user to rate a conversation. At the time, conversations in Intercom could either be in one of 2 internal states, open or closed. And in many other ticketing tools out there, closed means that the problem has been solved or the ticket is done because there's nothing else you can do with that closed conversation. But in Intercom, just like in messengers out there, conversations are never over. They're just ongoing. So people are using closed to kind of clear conversations away from open, so almost closing conversations after every message in a way, which wasn't really helpful for what we were trying to get after. So we needed a way to change this behavior in teammates, and we had a couple of different solution options that we tried to test out. We created a quick and dirty engineering prototype for this, and we tested this with our own support team and got feedback on this from a day's worth of use. It turned out that the solution was actually needing to build in a 3rd conversation state called snoozed, so teammates had control over where their conversations were going. And this was a great learning to have actually gotten through real usage and not just something designed in a screen or mock-up that you can keep arguing about, but you have the actual real data. Another way of shipping to learn is at Intercom, we do a lot of beta testing, so before a full release of something, and we make tweaks along the way. This is kind of 2 screenshots of a beta plan that we put together for this project, where we were really clear about what it is that we wanted to learn, what we're actually shipping, who we're going to reach out to, how we're going to reach out to them, and how we're going to answer all those questions that we had. a cool example of what came out of this was how we iterated on this question that we asked end users to rate the conversation. So initially it read, help Intercom, or help name of the company, understand how they're doing, rate your conversation. Looking back, it's easy to see this, but teammates were getting more negative comments about the actual company rather than the quality of support that their team was giving. And so we changed this to add in the actual support person who helped you. And we tested this with our own support team. It's a tiny tweak, but we saw that actually positive ratings went up by 6%, which is actually huge if you think about it. And comments about the company were generally going down. So this is another example of something that we monitored. We were quick to make a change. We tested it, it was good, and then we felt more confident about releasing it to everyone. So up until now, I've kind of talked about 3 different ways of approaching product, and that actually grounds a lot about how we think about product at Intercom. The last 2 are kind of the last 10%, I would say, about building product. The kind of magic ingredients, the how do we build stuff that people don't ask for, but they like anyway. Building a team on open and over communication. This one seems almost too simple in a way, and I'm sure lots of you, all of you are already doing this. But I thought it's worth mentioning just because in reality, it's probably one of the trickiest things to get exactly right. So we all know that building trust and motivation on a team is really hard, and keeping people on the same page throughout a long project is even harder. Too often, product development feels almost assembly line style, where you pass on something to another person, and then this person at the end has no idea why someone made a decision back there, and what they're doing now, why it's important, all these things. So in reality, and probably in the ideal sense, you want something a little bit more like this, where a team is actively working together in sync throughout the whole process. At Intercom, we sit together in our product teams, which already helps a lot and goes a long way. But one thing additionally that we did to build a really strong core and extended team for this project was we created a special Slack channel for the project. So different from just one for the team where you talk about anything. And this created a shared space for us, as well as teams in San Francisco, et cetera, to have a sense of visibility on everything that's going on. So we shared design decisions, we had questions, customer feedback and metrics as they came in. People shared rating examples from real life. So it kind of created this space for everyone to be involved. And as a result, everyone on the team was really actively involved in the project and had a lot to say. So if you remember, for the rating, you can give an emoji and an optional comment. One of the things we originally were going to do was just have this for negative ratings, because we thought that if you're happy, we don't want to burden you by asking you for more. Felt a little bit different. But it was Patty, who's one of our engineers, who first suggested that actually positive comments would actually be really nice to see too, so you're not just getting a stream of negative feedback all the time. Makes sense. And so we actually decided to add this in. And it just goes to show, I think, when everyone is in the loop and they feel like they have a voice that's heard, then I think your product is stronger from all the ideas and discussions that end up coming up. And the last story I'll share is around designing for emotions to win hearts and minds. So I think when you really get to know your customers, you get to a point where you can kind of anticipate their problems and solve them for people before they even realize there's a need or a problem in the first place. And when you can do this and your solution really elicits an emotional connection with the user, I think you've got something really magical right there that can have the power to rally people together and get something done, even if it breaks a few rules along the way. So when we started with conversation ratings, we knew that this project could possibly feed into the already tough and metrics-driven, kind of stressful support environment that's very numbers-oriented. And so we wanted to think about the opposite of that. We wanted to make sure using Intercom and this feature feel really great and how really celebratory and positive. So we thought about this question, which is how might we deliver positive feedback to teammates in an immediate way and really celebrate their successes. Focus on the positives. It wasn't an official problem. It wasn't really on the roadmap or anything. It was just like a fun kind of side interest of a project that we just got a bunch of designers in a room and things like this happened. We started sketching out some ideas. And from there, I created product principles around this feeling very lightweight and fun, kind of different, ephemeral, and really like anti-notification, not stressful at all. So we continued working on this a bit and finally got to this concept that internally we call the inbox of love. So if you can imagine, it's like a teammate's positive ratings are all kind of pooled together in this jar. And whenever a teammate wants to, they're kind of working, they can kind of take a break, go to the jar, pick up a little positive feedback, and get a little shot of love. Concretely, this means clicking a little heart icon in the top corner of Respond and seeing like lots of confetti along with your positive feedback. The confetti was like a really big thing. It had to be there. Thinking about the physics of it and everything. So this is really, really amazing. And what was even more amazing, I think, was that this thing was never supposed to be built. It wasn't something that anyone asked for. It was really just like a passion project that the team was really excited about. And Sebastian, one of our engineers, he ended up bringing it to life over a weekend. And I think what made it resonate with so many people and ultimately kind of became a differentiator for us is that it really was the perfect blend of our understanding of the customer and our brand and our product vision all together. And the best part, of course, is getting feedback on this. Again, we didn't do any testing, we just kind of did it. So getting tweets like this, people anecdotally telling us that it's like their favorite feature and Respond. I think I still love this piece of customer feedback. Like, yeah, I'll take a medal and pay raise, sure. No, just kidding. It's been fantastic to see the feedback. So that's pretty much it. I hope that from this talk you kind of got a sense of the journey of taking a load of customer requests and kind of transforming that, getting the whole team involved in building something. And again, this is how we got there. So design from first principles, think big, start small, ship to learn, build the team on open and over communication, and designing for emotions to win hearts and minds. Overall, I just want to stress that it's success will only really come, I think, when your whole team is not just has pride and ownership in crafting the final result, but really in understanding the problem and the customer. And when your team can really kind of get on this together, learn, iterate, and ship, you'll be able to float the best version of your product out there to the hands of your users. So with that, good luck and thank you so much.